Hey, what's up? Don't click away. Today we're going to test drive this Forward 361 Plus on a Note 20 Ultra. Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Javi Guzman with MrPhoneDoctor.com, and thank you all for tuning in and checking out this episode. For those of you out there who do need a screen replacement, please visit us at www.MrPhoneDoctor.com or simply leave a comment down below in the description area. And while you're online, please make sure you check out our social media platforms found here. Alright, so you guys are in for a treat today. Today I'm going to be doing a full test drive on the 361 Plus on a Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how the in-frame separation feature works on this device. Overall, it's a very simple process, and there are just a few little steps that you do need to consider before attempting the frame removal on the Note 20 Ultra. So you guys can see here, this is the Note 20 Ultra that I'm going to be separating. It has a very minimal hairline scratch, which would qualify perfect for this device. And we will not need to worry about putting any kind of clear glass on here to keep the frame or the glass from bending or folding while you're lifting. If you guys are attempting a repair on a device, or a screen I should say, that has a lot of cracks and shards, you're going to need to use a clear glass. So this is designed for the Note 20 Ultra. It basically just sits right up on top, and it covers fully the glass where everything sits. So you can see how exactly this is sitting. Now you can use a liquid glue, a Loca to put on top here, and you can layer this other clear glass on top and let the glue spread out, and then you cure it. So with this clear glass, you can glue it down using Loca, or you can use OCA. I like to use OCA just because you're going to get less mess. You know, with the Loca, it tends to run over and it just gets messy and sloppy. So what we did was we just laminated a OCA layer of Oka on here, and we'll just go ahead and press it on here and make sure that everything grabs on properly. But the good thing on this one, as I mentioned, it's only one small hairline crack right here. But overall, I mean, this is going to be a very simple removal because the glass is all intact. If you had a lot of shards, you would just have to be very, very delicate, and of course use the clear glass. Alright, let's go ahead and begin removing the frame from the Note 20 Ultra. So we first off want to begin by going through, and we're going to go with the blade and just help relieve this area here, the edging, so that way whenever we're lifting, it just helps lift up from the frame. So we're going to first use these two little guys that they did provide for us. We're going to put one here and then one here on the bottom, like so. So we have that there, and we're going to set this device up on top. I'm going to let this heat up for a good, I'd say about 3 minutes. Once it's nice and warm, we're going to go through with the blade very, very gently and just help separate this frame from the glass panel. You don't want to go too deep. You're going to want to just go the right amount, so that way you can let liquid in there and help remove the adhesive from the frame. So I'm going to let this heat up, and then we'll cut right back. All right, a few minutes has passed. Let's go ahead and get our gloves on for safety. And we're going to need some ISO 99. We always use alcohol. I'm just going to put some safety goggles on just to make sure I don't get any in my eyes. And we're going to just carefully go through with the blade, as I mentioned. Very, very carefully. We just want to get a little bit of ISO in here to help soften everything up. And if this was very sharded, you could do the same. You just got to be very, very careful. Got to be a lot more delicate on here. And as you do a couple more passes through, it starts to lift up a lot easier. All right, so we're good there. Let's work on the top part. So now you guys can see how the multi-use function on here works. You know, we're using the 360 rotating plate, and of course we're using the X-axis radius. There's that, and then we're going to do the bottom. Now on the bottom of these, there is a cold press glue. You just have to be pretty, a little more rougher, you know. You just have to get right in there and help separate this cold presses that's holding it in. And this actually helps out a lot, especially on the edges when you guys are doing these in frame and you want to cut the glass. I recommend you doing that. Because if not, what happens is your line, the radius on this curve is just so curved that you go through and it tears the polarizer. So by doing this, this will help relieve any kind of tears. So yes, you can do these in frame as well. And we'll let that cool down. While that's cooling down, what we're going to go in and do next is we're going to go in and attach this bracket, this other bracket that has a type C. So we're going to set that in here. We're going to go face down and we're going to go ahead and set this in here. So it feels pretty warm. I'm going to go ahead and hit the vacuum. And you do want to press down on here. By pressing down, that just makes sure the seal grabs and it grabs that glass. All right, so I'm going to put a little more ISO. The ISO does evaporate pretty quickly. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and use this micrometer gauge. And we're going to want to pay attention to where we're at. I got to see, I'm getting a glare, so I'm going to take my glasses off. But I'm going to go ahead and start lifting up here. So I'm going to put a little bit of solution here. And we can start to lift gently. And you can see the frame start separating. You don't want to go too much. You want to go just a little bit to where we see it lift. And because we do have an entry point here on this area, I'm going to go ahead and cut a piece of our clear ochre, and I'm going to just lift this piece up right here. This is like a little heat sink, so this kind of prevents the OLED panel. You see how it's got a little it's kind of like that, what do you call it, the paste for chips. So this is like prevents any kind of heat going through. So I'm going to save this little part here and keep it intact onto the frame. All right, so now we are in pretty good. See that? We're just going to do a little sawing motion and that's it. It's already separating. You can see how it's already, we have a good little gap right here from this dial that's turned. So that's good. We'll just pull through on here, add a little bit more solution, and just run down like so. Now you can use these little guys as gauges of how deep you want to go, because normally your OLED panel stops right here, so you don't want to go in too deep. And if you get any glue buildup or anything like that, just pull it out. You can pull this stuff out. Sometimes if you're lucky enough, you can just pull a nice little strand out. That's it, we're good there. Let's rotate it the other way, take a peek, see where we're at. And in this case, it looks like we can go a little bit more. I'm going to put a little more solution here. And I'm going to put some down over here on this edge. You can see it already lifting up. See that? We have all this here lifting up. So there, now we have this side that's going to start separating. So since we're good here, we're going to go ahead and just turn this through. You want to be careful with this flex, because this flex is the stylus flex. You don't want to damage that. So I'm going to just start turning. See that, how I'm turning it? And I'm going to just run it through. Now that we have that loose, we can start to turn even more. Alright, good. So you are still going to have some adhesive on here. So I'm going to get one last card here. We're going to put this inside there. We're going to run it through. We're going to break up this adhesive that is in there. And you do want to be mindful of the fingerprint sensor that is located there. So just want to go gentle, and it looks like it's already broken up. I went in pretty smoothly. And everything looks like it's separated. So you guys can see how it's starting to separate right here, right along the edge here. See that? Right here. So we have all this separating. It's going to turn this dial. And as you're turning it, you can look in there and see where, if there's any adhesive that needs to be removed. And that's it. That's pretty much the separation on this tool. I'm going to loosen, I'm going to hold this here. I'm going to loosen the back end where we had it. There we have it. See that? So now we have a clean pull. Not too bad. Now the good thing about this method is, you know, there's really very minimal waving. You know, you are going to see it. It's very hard to do a full 100% wave free just because they're so thin. The good thing about this method is since you're not cutting down or putting any force in through it, it leaves it pretty darn good. There we go. There we have it. So you got to be very careful in this part because the vacuum seems to hold these down pretty good. So I'm going to just give it a little gentle lift. There it is. It's off. So you do got to be very careful with that part. There you have it. Look at that. Look how clean. You guys can see how clean this panel came out. See that? Very, very nice. And then of course, the next step is going to be to cut it. So in this case, this one's pretty much intact. We can use this same heat separator. We would just lay this down like so and just slice it off with our wire. So, but that's going to be pretty much it, you know, other than, you know, separating everything like that. It's a pretty straightforward process. Just be very, very delicate, especially if they got a lot of shards. Like I said, if it's got a lot of shards, use the clear glass and set this on so that way you have a good reinforcement on there. But let's go ahead and test it. There we have it. You can see that it is complete. But yeah, I see that. I mean, the radius on this is just so curved. That's why, I mean, when you hold it, you get false little touches here. You know, but that's why a lot of people are clipping these because of this curve. It's just so far down when you go with the line, it just gets under that polarizer. But there we have it. That's a nice, clean pull. Be ready for a glass cut and then a lamination. So that's going to wrap up my video, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll leave links down below on where you guys can purchase the Forward 361 Plus in case you do want to pick it up. Make sure you guys subscribe, hit that like button, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Cheers.